Teach us, Lord, to be masters of ourselves, that we might be the servants of others. Take our hands and work through them, take our minds and think through them, take our lips and speak through them, take our hearts and set them on fire for Christ's sake. Amen. Good morning, everybody. I have the great privilege of bringing you greetings from all 21 of your sister congregations in the Episcopal Church of Europe. You didn't even know we were there, did you? Confess. I'm very honored by the invitation of the rector, and I'm especially grateful to Bishop Knisley for his gracious permission to allow me to be here. Did you know that your rector could come and preach in any one of my churches and not need anybody's permission at all, but when a bishop travels anywhere, the bishop must have the permission of whoever is the bishop in that place. Did you know that? That's because when bishops preach, it's a dangerous thing. But Bishop Knisley kindly gave his permission. He did not, however, fail to send one of his officers to check up on whatever got preached here. So I think you're safe. We'll see. I'd like you, if you would, to just reflect on those last words you heard in the gospel. Those very familiar words, maybe too familiar to have the power that they should. Do to others. Do to others as you would have them do to you. We have taken advantage of All Saints' Day, sisters and brothers, and I am complicit in that. Over the years in this church, we have taken advantage of this day. This is properly a day that belongs to the great heroes of our faith, those singular lives that have merited a day on the calendar of Holy Mother Church. It's really reserved for them, those exceptional few. Not just good people, not just good examples, but saintliness. A kind of transparent quality to the presence of God in their lives. We have for years made this about all the saints in our lives because, well, we like it that way. But that's not what All Saints is supposed to be about. Now, Europe is a much more secular place than America, even more secular than Newport. But we still live in close proximity to the lives of the saints. I got ordained to this job in early April, and I'd only been in the job for a little more than 2 weeks when suddenly I was getting greetings from all of my new sisters and brothers across the church in Europe wishing me a happy name day. I had no idea what that was. I thought maybe they'd been misinformed about my birthday. But no, they were sending me greetings on St. Mark's Day. I didn't even know I had a name day. But it turns out, because of an accident of a name, I get celebrated on St. Mark's Day. And whenever April 25th rolls around, now I get greetings from all of my friends across Europe. I'm connected to one of the evangelists, one of the great saints in the Christian pantheon. Yet another standard I don't live up to. By now, you pretty much expect that a preacher in an Episcopal church on an All Saints Sunday will invite you to reflect on the lives that have guided your own journey of faith. The people who brought you to church, who taught you how to pray. The simple, devoted folk in whom you saw a life of prayer in action. The people that you saw choosing gentle acts of compassion when indifference would have been just as easy. And of course, when we do that, we're coloring outside the lines, aren't we? Their day was really November 2nd, not November 1st. The feast of all faithful departed. But I am guessing not a lot of you came out to church on Tuesday. much less Wednesday. So we roll it all up into Sunday. And you know, that's not wrong. Either way, though, All Saints Sunday seems to be a backward-looking day, doesn't it? It is a day for memory, for recalling the examples of others, for giving thanks for the power of those examples in shaping our own lives. But do you know, living in Europe, ministering in Europe, I see our church from a different perspective. I would go so far as to say that many of my colleagues in the Episcopal Church in Europe, your church in Europe, many of us see today in a different way. It is no overstatement to say that those of us who live and work in Europe are literally surrounded with the past. The old world is what we called it when we came here. The place where all of those saints came from, the great and the good, the calendar saints and the common saints. When it comes to the Christian faith, Europe is the sort of place that the past comes from. We live in the place that Christendom first arose, and we live in the place where it first fell as well. I think it's because of that those of us who live in that place, who see the church from that perspective, are much more interested in the future than we are in the past. That doesn't mean we don't appreciate the tradition of the saints. It doesn't mean we don't honor exemplary Christian lives like those painted on your walls and glowing in your windows. But maybe it means that we see this day through the other end of the telescope. We come to this day and we look to the future, and what we wonder is, who will be the saints we need? That the church needs to project as far into our future as we have roots in the past. I said it might be dangerous. Here is the dangerous part. Because here, friends, is where you come in. I come to you today not to invite you to a sentimental remembrance of those who helped you find your path in faith. I come here today to tell you, in no uncertain terms, that somewhere in this moment, in the midst of this life you have been given, there is someone, maybe a good many someones, depending on you to be their saint. Maybe someone you don't even know. Maybe somebody you will never know. Or maybe someone in this community. Maybe one of those 8 o'clockers. Or as many of you know, maybe even your own rector. What if the point of All Saints' Day isn't to look back in sweet and happy memory, but to look forward to our own call to discipleship? What if the point is to remind us that others are depending on us in just the same way that we depended once we were helped or prodded or dragged or inspired in some way to walk this path? What if one of the saints that All Saints is supposed to be about is you? About a month after I started this job, I found myself on a subway in Paris, going from a meeting I'd attended back to the cathedral. Nobody tells you, when you are a new bishop, how you are supposed to dress. And so, what you do, at least if you're me, is that you look at a lot of And this is what I noticed, at least about the men. There's a kind of uniform that you wear. A suit, or maybe a sport coat, a purple shirt and a collar, and your cross tucked into your pocket with a little bit of chain showing. That's what all the pictures looked like. And I'll bet once in a while, if you glimpse him, that is what Bishop Nicholas looks like. So there I was, on the subway, suit, purple shirt, collar, cross tucked in pocket, going back to where I work. Almost as soon as I got on the subway car, I noticed, about 2 doors down, a young man, neatly trimmed beard, suit, tie, briefcase. I don't know why I thought then, I still think it today, a quintessentially professional Parisian man. And he laid eyes on me and started moving in my direction. With every next stop, a little closer and a little closer, he passed a door he might have gone out and got a little closer, and finally it was really clear he was coming to talk to me. And when he got to me, this is what he said. Je me demande pourquoi vous gardez votre croix dans votre poche. I was just wondering, why do you hide your cross in your pocket? I wanted to say, because all the other bishops do. I almost said, because I'm new to France and I understand you're a very secular place. I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't know what to say. And so, instead, I did the only thing I could think of to do. I asked him for his name. His name was Jean-Pierre. And what I can tell you about Jean-Pierre is that he works for the Catholic Broadcasting Company in Paris. That young man is trying to do a very hard thing. He's trying to live a life of Christian faith in a place that long ago gave up totally on Christianity. Well, we talked for a little while. We had a pleasant conversation. He asked me about my place. He understood a little bit about the American Cathedral. We came to my stop. I said au revoir. I got off. Do you know what Jean-Pierre needed that day? He needed an ally. He needed a fellow Christian who would be his ally, who would help him feel less alone. He needed someone who had a cross around his neck to wear it and not hide it. I missed my chance to be Jean-Pierre saint that day. But I have learned from that moment. I've learned you never know when the moment will come that someone needs you to be a Christian, not just with them, but for them. That you can make a lot of difference with a little thing. I learned not to keep my cross in my pocket anymore. And I don't just mean one around my neck. This world needs saints, sisters and brothers. There are so many people out there who do not know how to bar the door against despair. So many people who have learned the easy reflex of doubt, but long for the possibility of faith. So many people waging private battles that they do not want to fight alone. Around the corner, in the least likely place here in Newport, maybe even right here in this place, you will meet up with them, and you will have a chance to join me all in All Saints. For God's sake, for God's people's sake, don't miss it. Amen.